Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our Committee of the Whole meeting. It's Tuesday, November the 4th, 2025 at 5 p.m. and we are sitting in council chambers and this meeting has been called to order.
Tonight, before I start the land acknowledgement, I just wanted to thank the students at South Crosby Public School. The grade 5 and 6 students have written this land acknowledgement, so I just want to thank them and acknowledge them. So we are guests on the shared traditional land of the Haudenosaunee, Wendat, and Anishinaabe people, where they built their home and raised their families. We appreciate these lands for the food, water, air, plants, trees, and medicines they give us. We value the land by swimming and boating, working, camping, and exploring the forests.
Thank you very much, and thank you to the grade 5s and 6. Item number 3 is the adoption of the agenda, and it is moved by Councillor Aragona, seconded by Councillor Cardy, that the agenda for the November 4th, 2025 Committee of the Whole meeting be adopted as presented. Any discussion? Call the question. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Any declarations of conflict or pecuniary interest on any topic we're going to discuss tonight? Okay. Number 5 is committee reports. 5.1 is the Heritage Advisory Committee meeting minutes, moved by Councillor Cardy, seconded by Councillor Aragona, that the Committee of the Whole receive the September 9th, 2025 Heritage Advisory Committee meeting minutes. Any comments, questions, or discussion questions for Councillor Cardy? No, any comments?
Just that the name has been changed. If people don't know, it's now the Westport Museum instead of the Westport Lakes.
Okay, and did we do that through council? Like, did I blip out? So maybe quick notice of motion at the end of the meeting today.
Yeah.
Because it's an official title.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
and staff will prepare the briefing for you.
Thank you.
And we'll take care of that at council, and then next set of meeting minutes, it'll come in under the new name. Okay, I'll call the question then. All in favor? Carried. Okay, no, we did have a delegation planned and we received notice late this afternoon that the delegate had become ill. And you had some suggestions, is that right? From her that to read the.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, through you, Madam Mayor. They just suggest council read their presentation, and if they have any further questions, reach out to her and she can either come back to answer questions or send the answers back.
Okay, so if you've got any questions, could you let the CAO know? And then that will help her and the delegate decide whether she comes back in person. Okay, terrific. So that takes us to 6.2, the other delegation near and dear to all our hearts is Mr. Steve Pence, and I think he's got a few people with him. And we are moving to the next stage. So for the public, we updated our official plan and we did it over a 2-year period. We finished it last year. And that's good. It's good for, I think, 10 years. I'll be corrected if I'm wrong there. But once we had that done, we knew that the next piece we needed to do was to update our zoning bylaw. And we put out a tender or whatever, and Novatech was successful. Of course, we want them to do it as well. So that turned out well for us. We want them to do it because they did the OP. So they're up to speed on things in the village and there's no learning curve for them. So with that, I'm going to look for Mr. Pence to turn their cameras on. Come out, wherever you are. Hey, we don't have you, Steve. We got Novatech in the corner, but a black screen. Yeah, there we go.
Here we are.
Yeah.
We are working with some, good evening, Mayor Jones and council members. I just want to preface this by saying we are working with some new technology here in our office. So we were having some technical difficulties in getting connected with this system, but I think it's working now. So.
I like it. We get to see all 3 of you side by each. Now, 2 of you have the same colored background. Are you in the same office or are you all remote?
We're all 3 of us are sitting at one boardroom table. So
okay.
And I'm just not sure. I think maybe you see a door in RJ's background.
Yeah.
You see the bluish green wall behind Miranda and I.
So, oh, terrific. Okay, well, over to you. We're listening with all ears.
Okay, well, thank you. And first off, I'd like to start by saying we're absolutely delighted to be part of this project with the village. As you had mentioned in your introductory comments there, we worked on the official plan for the village and got that approved. I would say, I think the date was in 2024, March 2024, I think was the date that it got final approval from the counties. And as you correctly stated, there is an obligation now for us, or for the village rather, to work on its zoning bylaw to implement that official plan. And so we're here tonight to, as a start or kickoff meeting, to discuss the program with you and provide an opportunity for you to ask any questions that you have. I'll start just by saying or introducing my colleagues here that are going to be working on this project with me. I think you've met them both in different capacities. To my left is Miranda Virginello, a planner with Novatech, of course, and to my right is our Jan Sewer, who's also a planner. And I think your staff has become accustomed to hearing from our Jan on various inquiries, and so we're now glad to move to this project and work on the bylaw. I would also like to thank you for the opportunity to attend this meeting by virtual means rather than driving down. I don't think that the meeting will take all that long, so it just made a lot of economic sense to do it virtually. Our preference, of course, is to attend in person if we have more sort of engaging discussions to be involved in. And we will be having some open house and public information sessions on this project, in which case we will definitely be in person to have a more engaging environment for those that wish to participate. So with that, we did prepare a very brief presentation, slides that we forwarded on to Kim earlier today. So Kim, I'm hoping that you can display that for council so that as we work through the presentation details, there's some graphics there for viewing.
Yeah, can you see that, Steve?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you very much. So I'm going to turn this over to, I think, Arjan to start with. And then Arjan will at some point turn it over to Miranda to do the second half. So Arjan?
Yeah, so we've already kind of looked at the project team. That's the second slide, and Steve already gave us a pretty great introduction. So if we can go to slide 3 of the presentation, what I kind of want to do a little bit here is just kind of talk about what a zoning bylaw is. Still kind of still stuck on slide 1.
Okay, we're on slide 3 here.
Oh, weird. Okay, well, as long as you guys see slide 3. So I suspect council members obviously will already know kind of what zoning bylaws are, but just to kind of give a little bit of an introduction to this tool. So zoning bylaws are the primary but not the exclusive tool used by municipalities on a day-to-day basis to implement the policies of the official plan. So that means that the zoning bylaw needs to generally conform to the policies and land use designations of the official plan. And basically what a zoning bylaw includes is it includes text, and within that text there's definitions, general standards for development for things like parking and stuff like that, specific uses that are permitted, and then corresponding development standards for those uses. And oftentimes, actually typically all the time, this bylaw text is accompanied by maps, schedules that illustrate the zoning categories that are in use in the village. And so the provisions in the zoning bylaw, they typically deal with matters such as minimum lot areas or minimum lot dimensions, minimum lot width, stuff like that. The relationships between structures and lot boundaries or other structures, the maximum size of the structures on a property, and then also, items of importance such as parking requirements or landscaping requirements. Generally, there's more public involvement in the process of creating a zoning bylaw versus an official plan, because a zoning bylaw is something that pertains to development standards that directly affect individual properties and individual property owners. And the Planning Act process for zoning bylaws is similar to OP's. And so the draft zoning bylaw is going to be circulated to the same technical agencies that the OP would have been circulated to. So they'll have that same opportunity to consult that they would have had for the official plan. And so if we go to the fourth slide, which I trust you'll see on your screen. So as I said before, the new zoning bylaws is going to follow a similar structure to the previous zoning bylaw and to most zoning bylaws. And that's, it's going to begin with a definition section. We're going to follow that with general provisions and then specific use provisions. And then we're going to move on to zone categories. And a zone category as an example would include something like highway commercial or residential first density. Those are kind of some examples of zone categories. These zone categories, as I kind of touched on, they're going to provide the permitted uses and the individual performance standards, such as lot dimensions, setbacks, heights, for the corresponding uses in each of those zone categories. And then zone schedules are going to be appended at the end of the zoning bylaw. So I think I'll pass around why we need a new zoning bylaw to my colleague Miranda.
So I also trust that you're seeing slide 5 on the screen. So Steve mentioned, the new official plan was approved in March 2024. Whereas the existing zoning bylaw for the Village of Westport was approved in 2008. So the new zoning bylaw, rather the current zoning bylaw does not fully implement the new official plan. So your zoning bylaw needs to be updated so it's that the land use policies of the new official plan are supported. A new zoning bylaw provides the chance to identify any shortcomings in the current zoning bylaw and to produce new provisions to deal with local issues and interests where possible. The new zoning bylaw also provides the opportunity to create new zoning schedules, as Virgin mentioned, that'll reflect the official plan designations, correct any errors in the current mapping or zoning schedules, and revise existing zoning boundaries as needed. Next slide, please. So next steps for the zoning bylaw. This meeting is intended to kick off the new zoning bylaw project for the village. So that's phase 1. And as you'll see on screen, the project timeline is split into 4 phases, beginning in October 2025 with phase 1, and it's projected to end with phase 4 in August 2026. So next steps will include a further review of the existing documents and previous zoning applications as part of phase 1. And then we'll move into the public consultation process with a non-statutory open house regarding the zoning bylaw purpose and process. And then that will be followed by a presentation of the first draft of the zoning bylaw to council. After the first draft is presented, there will be a statutory open house open to the public on the content of the zoning bylaw, that first draft. And then there'll be a statutory public meeting after delivery of the second draft of the zoning bylaw. And then the final draft of the zoning bylaw will then go to council for a decision. All that to say, there's lots of opportunities for public consultation and comment and back and forth through the zoning bylaw process. So I think we can go to the next slide now, which will bring us to the end of our very brief presentation, and we're available now to answer any questions.
So I'm just going to jump it off. I'll come to you in a minute, Marty. For the timeline, 26 is an election year. You're always mindful of being a lame duck council. And so that would be middle of August and beyond if this is a lame duck. So is there anything, it's a little hard to read the tasks in the December to June, but could that not be like a December to March? And that we just tighten it up a couple of months so that by the middle of August, should this council go lame duck, they've had the opportunity to approve it. At least can you consider that, Steve?
Yeah, the proposal or the timelines that Miranda spoke about they kind of align with what we had laid out in our proposal. And I would say that there could be some opportunity to shorten the timelines a little bit. We're mindful of it being an election year and the importance of getting things wrapped up as soon as possible. For that reason, we've already started with work on the document. Even prior to this kickoff meeting, I know kickoff implies that we're just getting started now, but we've done some background work already. And we
Yeah.
are working on it to try and shorten up those cycles.
Good.
We worked into that timeline 3 consultation points of contact with the public. One
Right.
being, and I want to talk about this in a few minutes, but one being as early as early December.
Nice.
And that's going to be before we even release any formal documents out to the public, but it's an opportunity for the public to learn about the project, to get engaged, to provide some input on things that might be concerning to them, just to kind of get people talking. So that when we come around with a first draft early in the new year, or sort of, I think we have it scheduled for around the public or open house sort of mid-year, we might be able to have to pull that, or we'll see if we can try and pull that sooner so that we can try to, because what I'm hearing from you is you want to get it done as soon as possible. But
Yeah.
there is going to be statutory requirements for giving notice to public meetings and that sort of thing. So those 2 public points of contact in the new year will probably follow, one in spring and one in summer. That's kind of the way the schedule lines up, with the adoption of the bylaw probably in the summer.
Okay, that's great, because you never know what's gonna happen at election time, but were you to get essentially new council, this is all Greek, right? And so it would be, if we can all keep our eye on the ball, and we'll do whatever we can do to support you watching those timelines. I'm not asking you to expedite, just asking you to watch what the statutory requirements are. And we'll do whatever we can to support so that the decision's coming here in July, not in August.
Yeah, we hear you loud and clear, the importance to get it done. So we may, well, we definitely will try to tighten the schedules up as much as we can, but realistically, we see it as completing sometime in the summer months.
Okay, terrific, thank you. Councillor Cropper, go ahead.
No, my questions were all about timelines. Thank you.
Okay.
Perfect.
We're sitting here looking at the stars out your window. I want you to know that. It looks like a movie set. Anybody else in chambers have a question? Councillor Aragona.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Steve. Steve, the old zoning bylaw was from 2008. That was the last time it was approved. Since then, council, not just this council, but other councils have made some amendments. Can you talk about how those amendments are folded into the review process and how they actually get wrapped into the final recommendation that comes to council?
Good question.
That's a great question. And today we've assembled a list of all the amendments. In fact, I think I knew of all the amendments because we had compiled that list number of weeks and months ago, because it's important for us to know of each of the amendments when we look at property inquiries to make sure we got the correct zoning. So I would say there's probably about 20 amendments that have been done since 2008. I think I've been involved with probably half of those, and most of the amendments that prior to my involvement, I would say, many of them are just schedule changes. So they might have been, for example, an amendment that changed the zone from residential to commercial, or vice versa, something like that. So it didn't come with any specific exceptions to the bylaw other than changing the zone. So those are really easy to deal with, because if a property is residential today, it'll stay residential in the new bylaw. Where we have to think about those amendments are where there might have been amendments that included specific exceptions to accommodate a form of development, for example. So just take a simple example, somebody who applied for an amendment to allow for a dwelling to be developed on a property, and it needed exceptions for things like front yard, rear yard, lot coverage, etc. And that building is now constructed. It's not important that we carry forward those exceptions. We can just deal with them as make sure the use is permitted. And if we don't carry those exceptions forward, then that property would just have sort of what we call legal non-conforming rights. And that's an acceptable approach to dealing with it. So what I'm saying here is that we need to look at all those amendments and decide on how we deal with them on an individual basis in the new bylaw. Some of them will get carried forward with special exceptions if they need to be, and others will just be dealt with through the approach that I described. But we'll look at them all carefully and make sure that we have a way to deal with them so that people don't lose development rights that they have today, unless, of course, there's an official plan reason why they can't.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
One more question, through you, Madam Mayor, to Steve. Steve, if the schedule that was put up, it went up, but I didn't catch on the schedule that was there. At what point does council actually get involved, and how and when can we have input into the process? If you went over it, I didn't catch it, if you just do that again.
Yeah, our work plan included a couple of points of, I call them technical memorandums, where we would provide a report to council with input from our consultation meetings in December, and then at a point later. And at those meetings, we will seek your advice and direction and comments on certain themes that we need to address. And then when we develop the first draft of it, we'll be sure to spend some time with you to make sure you understand what those provisions and zoning approaches, what they're saying, so that you can comment on them. We want to be very mindful of the fact that all that can be very overwhelming, and a lot of content that you may not want to get into the weeds on per se, but it's important for you to understand what the zoning bylaw does, how it differs from the new or from the current bylaw, what the structure, what the zone sort of translations are. So you might have a C1 and a C2 now. Are those the same as the zone categories that we present in the new bylaw? And we'll have some of that kind of material available at the open house as well for the public to understand, to try and help them differentiate what's changed with their property with respect to the current bylaw versus the draft bylaw. In our experience, people come out to these open houses with lots of interest in their property, more so than they do with an official plan, because zoning bylaw are standards that affect them directly with things like building permits and what they can and can't do. Official plans are they're policy documents, so they're a little bit more sort of out of touch with people, if I can put it that way. People don't relate to official plan policies as much as they deal with the zoning of their property. So we'll try to make materials available to people to help with that, and we'll do the same for when we meet with council.
Okay,
Thank you.
I've got Councillor Cardy and then Councillor Capper.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I'm just wondering, how much in advance will that first draft information be available for the public before the consultation?
So for the first consultation that we're proposing for December, that's not a statutory public session. So in other words, there's no Planning Act requirement for us to have that. We've proposed it as an opportunity to meet with the public early in the process, and we'll try to give as much notice, kind of similar to what we would give for a statutory public meeting, so 20 days, maybe even 30 days. So we need to talk about that before we're done here, of what that date would be and what the location is, so that we can prepare the notices for circulation. The open house and the public meetings that are the statutory requirements that come later in the process, we'll have to give notice of those at least 20 days in advance. And I would propose that we use the same means through the newspaper. I think that's the way to get the widest reach to the public, as well as by mail outs or email to the prescribed agencies. So not any different than what we do today for zoning bylaw amendments.
Good. Councillor Capper, go ahead.
Yes, I was just going to suggest a reader-friendly approach using the newspaper, and maybe the newspaper itself will write something about it, but people go to open houses who already know stuff about these sorts of things, and although there's probably hundreds tuned into this meeting, they might not understand it all. So the more we can communicate in layman's terms, because it's important to people. This is the stuff that touches residents directly. So
Yeah, I would just add that the meeting in December will be an informal session. It'll be one where individuals can meet with RJ, Miranda, and myself on a one-on-one basis. We will schedule a formal component to that open house as an opportunity for people to hear a presentation, but then we'll open it up for questions and sort of walk around. We'll have materials available for people to look at and ask questions. So it's meant to be sort of very engaging.
right.
Okay, Councillor Crawford, good?
Yeah, thank you.
Councillor Carter.
Through your worship. Steve, couple of questions. I'm assuming then that that first meeting is about process, not about the,
Content.
to explain to the public, like you've explained to council how it works, seeing as none of us in this room have been involved with writing a new plan, so that brings up my second question. Is there anything that councillors can do on their own part to kind of prepare themselves for what's coming down the pipe here, like in the way that you've explained the process, but is there any research or is there anything we should be doing to familiarize ourselves with, let's say, other municipalities, or are we just flying in the dark here till we get the first draft?
Well, that's a very interesting question. I guess you're always welcome to do as much research as you wish, and you can try to sort of read through your current document and identify things that might be of concern to you as a councillor. If you have any input on that, we're always open for your comments. We have tried to assemble a list of the minor variances, and through experience in working with the village over the last couple of years, I'm starting to develop a sense for some of the issues that we've been experiencing with the workings of the bylaw. So we have some knowledge and some experience on that, but if you have any ideas about what you feel is working and not working with the bylaw, I don't imagine you would have a lot of experience with the in and out of it. But if you do have some experience, or if you read through it and you have questions and comments, we're happy to hear about that so that we can account for that in our writing of the new bylaw.
The association doesn't have like a video, that sort of thing, so I think maybe Councillor Card's going, a tutorial video. I don't think AMO has one, but does IPPI have one?
I'm not aware of any resources like that would help with understanding zoning bylaws. The Ministry of Municipal Affairs might have some basic information about zoning bylaws. Our hope at the open house is to try and provide that kind of information to those in attendance so that they understand what it is, how it's different from an OP, why we need one, what are the limitations to a zoning bylaw, what other tools might there be in association with a zoning bylaw to implement the official plan. So those are all, you're absolutely correct, Councillor Card. The meeting will be about procedural things and process, but we hope to get from that meeting input from people on things that are interesting to or important to them about the zoning bylaw. Maybe they've had a bad experience with certain zoning provisions that affect their property, and we'll hear about that so we can take those under consideration.
Thank you.
Okay, you're good. Anybody, anything else? No? All right, well, thank you very much to bringing us this briefing tonight. We look forward to the process. Yeah, we know it's well overdue. We also know that these things are there is a financial burden in relation to them. So I want to make sure that we recognize Novotech's flexibility in kind of starting it late in one budget year and then picking it up the next budget year so that we could spread it over 2 years. So well done. Thank you very much. And I will let you go.
Can I just, before we go, can I just
Yeah, for
bring
sure.
back to one point? The December open house, we need to schedule that, and
Yeah.
it's not a meeting where council needs to attend. Like it's gonna be not much different than the open house we did for the official plan. It'll be a drop-in session, but we
Yeah.
will schedule a formal piece at the start of it.
Good.
So we need to set a date and a location and a time. And,
Yeah.
maybe
You wanna-
if you'd like, we can work with Kim on that.
Yeah, please. And do you have an idea, do you want to do morning, afternoon, or evening? Maybe you could think about that too.
Well, we have given that some thought, and it makes sense that it's probably in the early evening.
Okay.
Rather than at the dinner hour, like 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I don't think it should be during the day because it just won't reach as many people. So we're thinking like the first or second week of December, on a Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday evening at around 7 o'clock. But we'll work with your staff to choose a date and location and prepare the materials for that.
Yeah, everybody feels good about that. Yeah, that'd be great, Steve. We look forward to getting that one kind of in the books and hear what the public's got to say.
Okay, that's good.
Okay, great. Thank you, team. See you soon.
Yeah, thank you.
All righty, bye-bye. Okay,
Bye-bye.
there is no, could everybody hear him okay? Or was it just where I was sitting? It felt muffled a bit.
It's the speaker, I think, was not.
Okay. Maybe on our end? Okay.
Yeah.
We won't tell them their new technology sounded like they had a loudspeaker sometimes. All right, no, that was good, and I'm excited that it's getting kicked off. I'm excited that it sounds like 3 components that include the public, if I got that right. 1 information session and 2 statutory meetings, which is good. Okay, 7.1 is part 12, connection fee bylaw addendum. And that's moved by Councillor Aragona, seconded by Councillor Crapper. That the committee of the whole received the report entitled Administration Part 12 Connection Fee Bylaw Addendum, and that the committee of the whole recommends that council approve the updated Part 12 Connection Fee Bylaw. Any discussion on this? Councillor Crapper?
Just a few questions. I may as well just go through them one at a time since I'm virtual like this, if that's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So when we had the discussion at the public meeting, we talked about connection fees versus, I mean, they were part of capital fees, or I think that's the frame that we were discussing, correct? I may be wrong about that.
Development charges. DC.
No, well, it was in the development charge meeting, but they were talking about a variety of capital fee possibilities. And the connection fee is one of them. The only reason I'm asking is that would then narrow and I fully agree that the connection fee and the water sewer funding is pivotal and necessary and huge. But does it preclude the collection of any capital fees for anything else, as was, I thought, discussed in the public meeting? I may simply be wrong, but I thought capital fees were more inclusive than just water sewer.
Okay, now we're on the same page. This was the Watson briefing that we received. And this report comes from the work that she has done. Kim or Peter, somebody take that.
I'll just through you, Madam Mayor. Thank you. I didn't feel it necessary. Nancy did a great job the first time discussing the analysis, so I didn't feel it necessary to bring her back. But I'll just preface that with if anybody has any questions for her, she has no issues giving you answers or coming to the council meeting.
Okay,
Okay, but I'll pass it over to Peter.
go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, so I believe I follow the question, Councilor Crapper, but just in case, the development charges the connection fees that are set, like development charges, these have a narrow scope specific to growth and all of the items that are identified in this plan. There's some studies and some work related around those pieces. It does not make it so that we cannot collect any other capital charges as needed. So council can set rates for the purposes of operating, maintaining, and improving a water and wastewater system. This is one example of a rate that is being set to do just that. but there's opportunities for other rates like capital charges, our general operating rates, our base rates, our consumption charges, all of those things fall into the same legislation, giving permission to council to set as they require.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, does that help?
Good. Yep.
Yeah, go ahead.
How does the collecting of can they be used for anything to do with stormwater management? We've got a stormwater plan. Is that in the scope of these what the connection fee could be used for?
Okay, Peter?
So so no, these are water and wastewater. Council could again set a rate for stormwater, but it would be the same piece. Now, saying that, the infrastructure for ground growth for stormwater is generally a local services. So part of that local service policy where when a developer brings in new residential units, they have to install the required stormwater infrastructure at that time. So there aren't the same growth related charges. Most of that is based on that local services policy that was passed by council prior to the development charges and the connection fee study.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Another
So
one?
what the last question is, so if you could remind me through you, Mayor Jones, to Peter, I guess, where we are at with the development fee part of that discussion. So we all agreed that connection fees were useful or capital fees were useful because it allowed us to be active on collection now. And in fact, for the past 12 months, as I understand it. But are we still looking at development charges moving forward?
Yeah, that's a really good question. We kind of parked it for a little bit, and where are we? So an update would be perfect. So the CAO is going to give us that update.
Yeah, thank you through you, Madam Mayor. So council passed the development charges bylaw, you'll recall, passed it the first time, but we didn't give adequate notice. We passed it again a second time. The appeal period has come and gone.
Okay.
And so we've had no appeals. The bylaw is now effective.
Okay.
However, there are parameters you'll remember from Nancy's presentation related to the new development with respect to when we receive the subdivision application as to whether they get an exception for the 18 months. It comes at the building permit stage. And so largely for the submission that they put in, depending on when they pull the permit, they would be exempted from those development charges, just to give you a sense of the charges we may collect related to growth. Infill is depending on if there's a planning application in process, which we don't have any right now, but any infill or new residential dwellings proposed outside of the development or a subdivision application are subject to the development charge that was passed by council.
And it wasn't, so just wanted for people listening, it had to do with the date that we received the subdivision plan application, not the subdivision itself.
That's right.
Okay, so anything after the date that the bylaw was in place? I'm sorry, any application that comes after the bylaw was in place could be subject to the development charges. And we know that the legislation has changed or is changing this week, that it's collectible on occupancy, not on building permit. Okay, Councillor Crawford?
I didn't hear your last statement. Collectible on what?
Occupancy, on occupancy
Right.
permit.
Yeah, okay, great, thanks.
Okay, you're good?
Yeah.
All right, anybody else questions? Councillor Carter?
Through you, your worship, if Peter could just take a second and maybe expand on the definition of a deferred benefit.
Sure. Do you want me to say it slowly so you've got time to think about it?
No, through your worship, it might be a Kim question or an Nancy question that we follow up on, but if I'm following the question correctly, it's just simply that this money is collected at the time of the setting of the time dictated by the bylaw. And then we use it in a later time. But that, if I'm following that question, I believe that's what you're asking about, why the deferred.
Yeah, it's kind of an open-ended statement. A fee or charge imposed for capital costs related to services or activities may be imposed on persons not receiving an immediate benefit from the services or activities, but who will receive a benefit at some later point in time.
Call a friend.
So it is the idea that this would be collected and then used in the future to fund these projects at a later date.
That's where I'm confused. It talks about persons. It doesn't talk about project or funding a project. It's a charge. imposed on somebody now for a future benefit that's undefined. So what's the future benefit?
Okay, we think CEO is gonna shed some light on that.
Yeah, thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. I think what is meant by this, and I obviously will follow up with Nancy to confirm it, is that the monies are collected from these people, but if they use it for, say, parks and recreation, and the future benefit is for a play structure, they won't see that now, but they'll see it in the future. But I'll confirm with Nancy and bring it back to the council meeting.
Yeah,
Thank you.
okay. That's weedy, in the weeds. You're good? I'll get the answer later. Counselor,
Just one question, through you, Madam Mayor, to Peter or Kim. Just to confirm, so the development charges is an 18-month span, lag, if you will, but the connection charges that we're talking about here, they're applicable immediately upon receipt of a building permit. Is that correct?
go ahead.
Thank you, through you, not exactly. We can collect it immediately because it's not subject to the same statutory requirements as development charges are. We likely would collect it at the building permit stage for these charges, but Peter, correct me if I'm wrong, that's my understanding, and that's what I think Nancy had indicated at our last presentation.
That is correct.
Yeah, very good.
Thank you.
Okay, you good?
Yeah.
Your question, no?
Yeah, just some clarity, please, through you, Madam Mayor. So, I think probably some people are wondering, the next phase is starting in the subdivision. Will we be able to collect these connection fees for all of these new houses and buildings?
So let's talk about, can you collect development charges and can you collect connection fees? Be clear.
So I can answer that.
Okay.
For you, Madam Mayor, for these specific charges we're talking about now, they can be collected at the building permit stage.
Connection fees.
For development charges, depending on when the subdivision application came in, which if it was around, I believe it's June 1st or something, 2025, which it was in, they are subject to an 18-month exemption period. Now, they'd have to pull every single building permit or occupancy, in this case, if the legislation changes, within those 18 months in order to be exempt from the development charges part of it. But the connection fee part of it is still applicable.
Okay.
Thanks, that's clear.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
It's complicated. But progress. So, we want to thank the team for focusing on that. We know that to get to where we are today has required some studies and some consultants. But that's really important work and continues to lay a good foundation for some financial stability for the village. So anything else on the Watson report, on the development charge report? Okay, then I'll call the question. All in favor? That's carried. That's great. Thank you. Okay, look at the agenda over. Okay, so that takes us to 7.2, which is the strategic plan feedback. So just a reminder to council or the committee and to the public, we have a strategic plan, a corporate strategic plan in the village. This committee, as council, updated it in 23 or 4. And with the commitment that we would go back out to the public and do some consultation after the newer plan had been implemented. We held those meetings. It was a fairly good turnout. We held them at the arena. It was broken into 4 groups. The stars of the show were the 4 councillors who took, there's 5 pillars to our strategic plan. Each councillor took 1 pillar. And the groups moved around from councillor to councillor, so they had the opportunity to speak on each pillar throughout the night. We had staff, so again, thank you to staff for attending, taking very good notes. And so in our package and what's available to the public is the a summary, a briefing note from staff, which we asked for, which is to kind of pull it together for us in an executive summary, and that's what the briefing note serves to do. And then there are several pages included of what was actually discussed. So we felt that it was important to come to you on your feedback. So it was, first of all, it was important because you didn't hear what was happening at the other 3 tables, so you could read what was said there. So that was, I found it very, very interesting reading through it all. And then what would you like to do with that information? And the only challenge, if it is a challenge, is again that we are in November leading into an election year. So it comes down to what is it that you'd like to see and what's doable in that period of time? I'll go to Councillor Crapper.
Yeah, having been involved in a number of these over the years, the real challenge is figuring out of the reams of information and great ideas, what's practical and what are the priorities. And our CAO has been helpful at identifying some themes. I took some time to go through all of this stuff, and I would suggest that if there were two major themes out of all of those various things, it was to do with communication and the environment.
The second one, we didn't hear the second one, right?
Environment, things to do with the environment and things to do with, and writ large. And that may or may not be accurate, but so it's figuring out if there are clusters of interest. Clearly, communication is one. And if there are there some things that we would prioritize? One of the things that has always come up over and over is our website. And we have done many things as well, and those were highlighted too. But yeah, the what next question is what strikes me, and how do we make something meaningful happen out of the time that was invested in ourselves and our constituents? And some time to think about that, I guess, is what we would need. And maybe it is all of us or some of us or just staff who go, okay, of all this stuff, here are three big ideas that we believe are doable in our available time. That would be a suggestion.
So just, I want to understand this, it's not now, you wanted to have like a separate meeting where we
No, well, I mean, I think I haven't spoken to Kim, but she has the best notion of what I'm talking about already, right? So what are of all that stuff, you distill it down, are there 1, 2, or 3 themes? And in those themes, is there a project that would speak to a number of the things? So a website, what might be one, but that's money and time. But it would be interesting to think what would be necessary to remedy the challenges that we have all found in the website. Or have we done enough stuff, like even articulating better, let's stay with communication. What are the things we have done in this term that really do speak to the ideas and the concerns and the things that were recorded at that meeting and through the surveys? I think that there are lots of things. It would be helpful somehow to me and probably to those who took the time to share their ideas to go, yeah, right. So we're using the website to summarize council meeting, I think, ideas, or the sharing of the videos at the end of the council meeting. Anyway, all I'm saying is the what next is important because we and our constituents have invested some time in this. Is there some tangible, concrete things that we want to, and how do we get to identifying what those are?
Yeah. But you're still comfortable with a more casual spitball meeting with staff rather than in this, and I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that for sure. Having heard your suggestion. Okay, how about everybody else? Councillor Card.
Yeah, in part, I agree with Councillor Crapper. We certainly need to boil it down, look at the 4 categories that the councillors were involved in and see what overlaps there. Weight those items and try to bring that list down to, this marries up with this, and consolidate the total list. I really don't think that the fact that we might or might not be able to get something accomplished is a key factor. I think is the most important thing that comes up in our précis of the whole kit and caboodle. I mean, so I think there's some decisions to make there. What are we going to base our decision on? Is it going to be time? Is it going to be money? What's it going to be? But I think we should weight it as to importance, not to his timeline or.
Yeah, we're already, I can't wait to hear from you two, but that's already turned me around on what I came in with my own thoughts. So good discussion. Go ahead, Councillor Golan.
Yeah, I agree with Councillor Crapper on picking some key things that can be done immediately and then figuring out what those things are from the point of view of budget or time. I'm wondering if there's a opportunity also to pick those things with an eye to what can be accomplished within the time that we have.
Yeah,
And then break the other ones out as recommendations for the next review of the strategic plan to whoever the next council is. Is that
Okay.
possible?
okay, I like it. Councillor Cardy, what are you thinking?
Well, I've heard a lot about the website over and over and over again, so I'm really contemplating whether we put the time and the money into that and really fix it so it's user friendly. So, you know, it works for everybody. It's a big thing that keeps coming up over and over again.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if we put all our eggs in one basket, so to speak. I'm not sure.
Well, you're thinking a little bit of soak time would be worthwhile, Councillor Crapper, so why don't we, I'm not sure how to pull it together, other than I'd like to think about now the suggestions. And maybe come back, can we make this part of a continued discussion at council? Is that?
Sure.
And so that's 2 weeks away.
Mhm.
And give some thought to what Councillor Card has said. How do we weight it? And some thought to both what Councillor Crapper and Aragona said is I'm hearing kind of quick wins from you. Out of the list, pick a couple of things that are important, but doable. And then I hear Councillor Cardy and I'm leaning a little bit with Councillor Cardy. I'm leaning probably heavily. I get more complaints about the website than anything else. And you know, when people complain and say, you know, I don't know what's going on at town hall. I want to say, well, go to the website because there's lots of information on that. But if we can't say, go to the website, then, you know, then we're just kind of with egg on our face. So, okay, so let's go ahead. But I think we're leaning towards 2 weeks, come back and we'll take some decisions then.
I'm heavily leaning towards Councillor Cardy's take on it too, in that when you go through the list, just about every item there can relate back to a good website.
Yeah. Yeah. But there's probably some quick wins. I mean, the after council video, you know, is really an hour's work. And we did it before, but we didn't have a YouTube channel to upload it on. So it was a work that went nowhere because we couldn't get it loaded. So I'm planting that seed with you that is low hanging fruit. It's important. It can go on our YouTube channel. And without having to fix the website, we could provide, it's a 2-minute summary. Beyond 2 minutes, no one's gonna watch it. So we can talk about that as well. So, go ahead, Joe.
I'm going to add to the website discussion, if I may. So if we're going to go down that road, I know what's involved in doing it and putting it together based on my experience with these types of projects. I would suggest that to staff that they look at it as a 2-part project and divide the actual public facing website from the
Internet.
from the back end, which has all the official documentation and the bylaws and all that. So just divide the project into 2 and it might be able to get done. I don't think if we tackle it all as one project that we'll be able to do it, given what's involved in both sides of that equation.
But you know, you see that, so that's why let's think about it and bring it back, because one of the complaints I get is, where are the bylaws? How come, you know, why do I have to go in and speak to someone? Why can't I, in my own living room, go away onto the website and find out what the bylaw is for whatever, so. Okay, I'm happy with that, if we come back in 2 weeks. And we'll put a bit of a plan together of what is something that is meaningful from what we heard, is doable within our time frame. And if there are things that require money, we're coming into budget in the next month or so, we can look at getting some costs then. Okay with everybody? Okay, very good.
Just one elaboration on that. If it were possible, we would do that to find one meaningful thing in each of the 4 pillars, right? So, and I think if we look at what we have done, we'll be able to say we've actually achieved many of them. But I think what I want to hear as someone who's invested time in the process is to somehow say to ourselves, yeah, here's what in each of these pillars we have seen as prioritized, here's what we've done, and here are the couple of things left that we want to do.
Okay. Yeah, well, I'll look forward to hearing from you, your recommendations around that as
Great.
well. Yeah,
Thanks.
good. Okay, so, so the motion is moved by Councillor Carney, seconded by Councillor Aragona, that the committee of the whole receive the report entitled Administration Strategic Plan Feedback and defer the rest of the discussion until council in November. Sure. Okay, so that you're okay with the amendment?
Yes.
Right, then I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried. Thanks, Marty. All right. So that takes us to information items, which is 8.1, and that is Leeds County OPP, Leeds County Detachment Action Plan. Councillor Carr.
Yeah, every 4 years, the OPP detachment commander is obligated to prepare a plan largely based on public input. I mean, there's always lots of government input, but they reach out to the public. We've currently published an 8-question survey on our website, and I'd encourage everybody to participate and fill it out. They're anonymous. Be kind, but I think it's an important that when we have our police service board meetings, everybody looks forward to some good input there for the detachment commander. It's an immense project for him to put that together, but I know for certain that he wants to be on track and include as much public input as he can possibly. So don't be shy, fill it out, send it in.
So the question is, where is it on our website?
I think there's a link posted, is there not?
Is it on the home page? Yes, as soon as you open up the website, it's there.
As soon as you, even today's committee of whole, you click on where it says survey and it comes right up to the
Okay.
questions. If they look at it digitally, they can just.
Okay, so you gotta go in Civic Web to get it?
Thank
So
you.
let's be clear, yeah.
Yeah, so it is on Facebook, it's on social media, but
Okay.
we haven't put it on the website for that reason, but it is on a link on Civic Web. So anyone who views the agenda can click right on it and it'll take you into their portal, the OPP's portal.
Okay, so and on Facebook, if you click on the link, does that also take you to the OPP portal?
It does, and if you want a paper copy on the Civic Web agenda, I believe it's printable as well. So you can print it out and fill it out and send it in.
Okay, so for those people who regularly go into the Civic Web, which is where our agendas are kept, you can click on the button on today's agenda and it'll take you to the survey. For people who don't do that, you can go to our Facebook page and the link is there as well. And I'll tell you why I'm kind of reiterating what Councillor Card has said. When we talk about communication, we know that it's a two-way street. And so I think our job right now is to make sure people know where to click to get this survey. But this is the opportunity to have your say. You know, what do you, the questions that cover where would you like to see the OPP prioritize their time when they're in the village? What would you like to see them do? Are you part of some community groups that the OPP can partner with? And you know, together work collaboratively. So there are some very cool questions on there. That the detachment, the OPP in general, but specifically our detachment commander and our police service board is very, very sincere that they'd like to hear from as many people as possible on how best can the OPP spend their time. We know there are limited resources, so this is also an opportunity that they don't waste their time doing things that aren't important. So there's 2 ways of getting, if you need any more information, please call the office and staff will direct you. It is a really important document. So any comments from the team on that? No, thanks, Barry. Marty, you're okay? Yeah. Okay, so this motion is moved by Councillor Aragona, seconded by Councillor Crapper, that information item 8.1 be received and filed, and that's in relation to sharing the information. So I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried. Brilliant. Okay, now, so we're into correspondence. 9.1 are the proposed meeting schedule dates. Everybody's had a chance to look at them for 2026. If you've got.
Sorry to
any-
interrupt. Did we not have another information item added to the agenda before this meeting?
It's next.
It's next.
We're getting to it.
Oh, sorry, I thought we were on to sorry, I thought we'd missed it.
No, we're on 9.1, which is the proposed meeting schedule.
Okay, I can't see my agenda and this because I'm here, so.
Marty. Okay, so we're at committee, so please have a look at the calendar before council. And if you've got conflicts or whatever, this is the time where we can move them around. Okay, so let Kim know if we need to move anything. All right, and there is an agenda, a motion for that. It's moved by Councillor Cardy, seconded by Councillor Aragona. The committee of the whole recommends that council approve the 2026 meeting schedule as presented. All in favor? And then if we've got some changes, we can edit it when it goes to council. Okay, 9.2 is the discussion that we deferred to today from our committee of the whole in October in relation to the Westport event. Let me just set the context again. The event is a community event. It's not a village event, although it occurs in the village. This is probably an example of a good news story. And an event that started fairly small has really grown in a great way, in a large amount, so I mean a large amount of people. And the event this year, from the people listening to the music, I'm sure was very successful. As the corporation of the village, many of us heard concerns. And so when the issue was brought up at last meeting, you asked to have the month and then to come back today because we've directed the CAO to meet with the organizer, CAO and whoever she would like to take with her for the meeting. We want to have to discuss the concerns that we heard. That there no doubt are concerns that the organizers had, and how do we collaborate for a Westport 2026? And so sometimes it's good to let time go by, because then tempers aren't as hot. People have had a time to reflect, and I think we're saying the same thing tonight that we said last month, that it's because it's not our event. There's only certain things that we can do. But we would like to have those discussions sooner than later so that there is no surprises. So that's just a bit of a wrap up. So our goal here is the concerns that you've heard, that you want to provide direction to the CAO to follow up with the organizers. Councillor Aragona.
So I'm going to reiterate what I said at the last meeting. It's obvious that this is an important event for the village. It's a tourism draw. It's an economic development boon. And I think that, given the conversations that I've had with, some of the folks that are involved with the event and some of the people that actually visited the event, and other folks in the village, I think it might be, time to just reset the conversation. I think we should hit the reset button and have a collaborative conversation with the organizers as to what the village can, bring to the table in terms of how to continue to make this a success. There are two points of view that need to be addressed. One is that the porches themselves are private property, and private property is governed by the people that own the property. However, because they are porches, they are facing the street, and that comes to the purview of the village. And so the village has to be concerned for public safety. So for that reason, I'm thinking that this conversation needs to be reset, and the conversation has to be started from square zero and figure out how we can collaborate with the organizers, and the organizers can collaborate with us to make this event successful moving forward.
So the direction is that, how do we set it back to zero if the organizers are interested? Because we can't tell them what to do, it's not our event.
Correct.
Right. Just want to clarify that one, Pete. When you were saying a lot of we in there, that's maybe the outcome, but at this point, it's not our event. And that's part of the friction. Because we feel we should be doing things. The public feels we should be doing things, but it's not our event. So I think that's where it has to start. And I agree with you. The reset would be very helpful.
Just because I believe we do have a role to play as the organization that is responsible for public safety. We have that role to play.
Oh, clearly, yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Councillor Carter?
Yeah, I think, obviously, we haven't had that meeting yet, that hasn't happened, but, I think, when it does happen, each side should, approach the meeting, with, giving thought to their obligations, the village and the organizing group, what you're obligated to do legally, because in my small bit of research, there's some pretty scary things there. If I was one of the organizers, I'd want to sleep at night. I wouldn't want to be looking over my shoulder for anybody coming after me for anything. So I don't think there's any high dollar items involved here. I mean, certainly with the village's new policy toward, helping out organizations, there's probably some, opportunity there for this.
Grant money, yeah. Yep.
Group to get some of that, because it is a pretty important project, within the village. I just think it's a matter of sitting down, everybody using their head, looking at not what you think you have to do, but what you really have to do. Once you say you're an organization, there are obligations. Same for the village. I mean, there are obligations we have to meet. There are things that we have to make sure happen. So I think that people can sit down and discuss that, and if there are points of contention there, then you take it to the next step, and you just keep banging at it till it works out for everybody. So yeah, it's no more or less complicated than anything else that you negotiate.
Fair enough. Councillor Crapper and then Councillor Carty.
Yeah, I think the theme of tonight's meeting is communication, and I think that, hindsight is great. And when you look back on this, where we are today, which I would say is more heated than it needs to be, it's because we haven't been talking directly. We've been communicating by email and letter. And I think that Councillor Aragon is right. A fresh start needs to happen, and we really need to reduce the temperature that has evolved by, I think, guessing about intentions, one side to the other. And to that end, I would like to present a motion. And that motion would be that we utilize our unspent community grants monies to offset the costs that one of those letters stated, to the tune of something like $800 for the street closure, and get that issue off the table, because it is one of the issues that is contentious, that wasn't anticipated, and has resulted in feelings that are getting in the way of moving forward.
Okay. I'm gonna let Councillor Carty speak, and then we'll come back to that.
Okay, so I think we come at it wearing different hats. As a community member, there was lots of positive, the whole thing was great, and I thank the organizer very much. Like, your hard work is not gone unnoticed. As a counselor, I was nervous, to be honest with you, just all of the people and the cars on the streets, and I thought of kids and I thought of pets, and it just didn't sit well with me, and I don't want there to be any more negativity, but I would love just to see some streets closed, and if, as the village, we could help make that happen, either financially through the grants or, through public works. I think we want to help make it positive and successful like it is, and just safer, in my opinion. That's what I would hope to come out of the meetings, is that we could make it's a great event, but let's make it safer for everybody.
Agreed. I want to come back to Councillor Crapper's suggestion. Like, I think that's an outcome, Marty. I think that, if we put something on the table tonight, it feels like we're taking away the collaboration that's going to happen in this meeting. So I'd encourage you to let that happen on its own. That's my feeling. I think we're precluding the good work they're going to do.
From my discussions with members of the planning committee, it's a sticking point that we could easily get off of the table and focus on more important things at that meeting, is my view.
Yeah, and that would be one of the things they're bringing to the meeting, which is good to know. That'd be on their agenda.
Well, I still think that it's something that we could get out of the way tonight with a simple vote on and we have the dollars in that line. It simply wasn't something that was applied for and couldn't have been because it wasn't considered as something that they were needing to cover. So I think, if had they known it was needed to cover, just like any group might, they would have considered at least applying for the community grants.
Well, there's a process for the grant, so I think we'll take that under advisement. I think we should talk to the CAO about the process. It's not quite as black and white, I think, as you've made it to be. But for sure, when the meeting happens, that's going to be on their list. And if it's possible, I think we need the policy side of town hall to weigh in on the how to, rather than put a motion out in the public. There's lots of other groups that to be considered.
Just to follow up on Councillor Crapper's suggestion, perhaps it's not a motion, but perhaps it is the information reset button that we need to use. Maybe that's the opening for the conversation is, I would suggest to staff that they seriously consider that suggestion about eliminating that $800 as the conversation opener and start the conversation from there.
Okay, so that'll be part of the discussion, but that feels better than a motion. And then their process, if that's what everybody decides is a process that comes and gets approved here. Anything else? Councillor Cardy? Councillor Cardy?
Just one final thing. I think in the process of negotiating, I think when people do their due diligence and see, I talked about obligations, what they are. There is a serious obligation for the village to make sure that things happen for everybody the way they're supposed to happen. The new grant dates, intake will be December. So there's an opportunity there for next year right away.
I could tell you, team, I'm trying to remember where all the criteria are. So can we let staff give us some advice on that policy? I don't want to make promises that if we go, oh geez, it's doable, we're gonna have to change the policy to make it doable. So let staff come back and.
I don't think we have to change the policy. I think what we have to do is everybody be knowledgeable of the process of, and just myself, like I always like to look and see what everybody else is doing. Well, if you want to do that in Ottawa, there's about 50 pages there to fill out and half it's crap. I think that we can do a streamlined process and make it official and make everybody happy in the end. So I think it's a doable thing.
I hope it's doable, yeah. Anything that you wanted to weigh in for, Madam CAO?
I don't think so, nope. I have, I think, some direction. And then I'll schedule a meeting with the planning committee and bring it back to perhaps committee of the whole, depending on when I can sit down with them.
Sure.
If that works.
That would be good, because we're all thinking the sooner the better.
Sure.
Yeah. Councillor Crafter, anything else? Around the room?
I do want to reiterate that this understanding of our council being positively oriented towards it is absolute. And I've never, as a musician who participated in it, I was subject to all kinds of input from this council about Porch Fest. So I think it's key that perceptions not rule, but facts do. And I'm hoping the public and the planning committee can hear that, that there isn't a human on this council or staff that isn't completely aligned behind the importance of events, including Porch Fest, and that its success was a reflection of the folks who planned it. So I just think it needs to be said over and over again in case people are wondering about objectives of council. This is important to us. We just need to make sure that our role in it, as articulated in this meeting, is figured out and is satisfactory to both the planning committee and to ourselves.
Yeah, well said, for sure. You summed it up much better than I would. Thank you. Everybody else okay? So there's no motion for that. That was just for discussion. So we're gonna leave Westport. We'll get a report back. Okay. So the next item is any notices of motion?
Yes. The Heritage Committee has met and they would like to change the name of the Rideau District Museum to the Westport Museum.
Okay, duly noted. So that'll come to, council? How do we do it?
Through you, Madam Mayor.
So too many councils, sorry.
It usually comes to a committee, the whole meeting, the actual motion for discussion and
Okay.
debate, and then it will go to the subsequent council for approval.
All right.
That would be December.
So it'd be a Christmas gift. Okay, very good. Thank you for that. Anybody, anything else? All right, so that's notices of motion. Any announcements today? I think, Remembrance Day service. Marty, hopefully you're feeling better for Remembrance Day. Hopefully everybody can be there, but Marty's gonna lay the wreath this year. So we'll see you on Tuesday. Hopefully, we don't mind cold. We hate cold and wet. Any other announcements from staff?
Yeah, thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. Peter, did you just want to give an update on the Spring Street sidewalk? Or please.
So Spring Street sidewalk is moving ahead again, so concrete pour started today. Mostly weather dependent, there'll be another pour in the near future to finish off the rest of the way. Temporary asphalt shortly thereafter, and then planned paving next year still, same as the original plan.
You did say that last line a little bit louder, so that everybody, because those poor people this year have, put up with gravel and dirt and everything. So the sidewalk will get done in the near future. And then what was the thing that we're asking you to say a little louder so people hear?
So, so as with the original plan, the temporary, stormwater curb and sidewalk work is 2025 projects. That'll be finished off with some temporary asphalt. And then, 2026 plan is for, repaving of the entire street.
From George to Church?
Correct, and including the intersection of Church,
Awesome, okay, well,
intersection of George.
yeah, George, the puddle. Good, okay, well, that's great. Any questions from the public? Go ahead, please, come forward.
Well, I have to say, I think it's great that Madam Mayor has allocated staff to work with the committee. It seems to me that council has adopted the opinion that you turn the other cheek and move along and get along. I guess my question to you, Madam Mayor, is it your intention to just totally refute any questions and concerns that committees have, bringing them to you and requesting meetings? And when you can pen a letter and an email on the same day, but when I request a meeting to discuss my concerns at last committee of the whole, it's ignored. So you continue to brush people off where the CAO can write letters on your behalf because she wasn't even there. Hold, please. On behalf of Marty Crapper, who asked me to tone it down last time, that's enough. You don't care about committees. If you don't like it, your decisions are based on past relationships and you are taking this out. We are not paying the $800. And if you want to spend your constituents' money in court, I will pay it myself to fight you. It is ridiculous that you take this position and continue to fight us. The one-sided penned brief that paints us as unreasonable and not following protocol when we followed your directions in 2024, and then you insult me, my wife, and then in 2025, you do it again, but include members of my committee. That's unacceptable. I have lost all faith in your leadership, and you have lost my vote. Shame on you.
For a reason.
Okay, any questions from the media?
No.
All righty, so we're gonna go into closed session. It's moved by Councillor Card, seconded by Councillor Aragona, that the committee of the whole proceed into closed session as permitted under the Municipal Act to consider a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to negotiations. All in favor? Carried.
I'll tell you this soon.
gonna stop the live stream so that Marty can still participate, okay? Normally I don't do that, I just mute everything, but I just give me a minute, so I have to stop the live stream, then we have to go back live.
Okay, so we're still on live stream.
No,
You
I-
can,